The flight that came back 35 years later with skeletons. Origin. For many years, the tale of Santiago Flight 513 has circulated among conspiracy-minded groups. Flight 513 of Santiago Airlines, bound for Porto Alegre, Brazil, departed Aachen, West Germany, on September 4, 1954. Around 18 hours should have passed during the flight. However, when it flew over the Atlantic Ocean, the jet just vanished. Authorities first thought the jet had crashed, and during the years that followed, many search teams were organized to seek for any signs of the passengers or the plane, but nothing was ever discovered. It actually took 35 years. Santiago Flight 513 was seen circling the Porto Alegre airport on October 12, 1989. Without any communication with air traffic authorities, and it ultimately made a successful landing. On October 12, 1989, 3.5 decades later, a Brazilian airfield in Porto Alegre saw an unauthorized aircraft circling the airbase. The pilot wasn't responding when the air traffic controllers tried to reach him. Even more shockingly, when the doors were opened, the investigators discovered 92 people's bones strapped into their seats. Captain Miguel Victor Curie's skeleton remains were discovered in the cockpit with his hands on the controls and the engine still running. Even though the Pan Am Flight 914 narrative is definitely fictitious, readers must have enjoyed it. The tabloid returned to the subject of physics-defying aircraft in 1989. The crew and passengers on this fictitious aeroplane, which was known as Santiago Flight 513, didn't fare quite as well. The passengers aboard Pan Am Flight 914 all made it out alive. When Santiago Flight 513 touched down, the aircraft was loaded with skeletons. Checking the facts. Is this story real? There are generally 3 reasons why people believe the news to be fake. Reason 1. The tabloid's poor reputation. The tabloid Weekly World News was notorious for frequently publishing fake news. They released yet another account of Pan Am Flight 914, which vanished for 37 years before resurfacing and landing safely. 4 years before to the release of the narrative on Flight 513. Reason 2. It seems like the story familiar. The enigmatic tale of Santiago Flight 513 is eerily reminiscent of the Twilight Zone episode from 1961 called The Odyssey of Flight 33. In which the plane somehow, someway goes back in time to 1939. Reason 3. Insufficient support. No reliable news source from 1954 could be located to substantiate that the flight really did disappear into thin air. To believe, we just have the 1989 newspaper clipping